RC Helix. I'm the creator of FLUX Destiny, and I've got Ella here, who's my right hand at our studio, Hero Helix, and she's also the creator of the FLUX Fantasy mechanics of our TTRPG. And so we work hand in hand on a lot of stuff together. And one of the things that we get to do a lot is Ella gets to watch me create art and concepts all the time and manga pages, and she was approaching me one time. She's like, I really want to learn from you. I want to like take a class because I've offered classes before and I've done it, and she's always wanted to do it. And then we said,
I was peer pressured.
Yeah.
Peer pressure, it worked.
And you know what? I've seen her art, and she's got really does have potential on. And we started talking about, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take Ella's journey? Why don't I do this and take Ella's journey and put it up for our fans to watch?
Because I'm a complete beginner. I'm completely like I have a little bit of practice, but that's just from stuff that RC has taught me like on the side. I've never like officially sat down to do fundamentals. I didn't even really grow up doing a lot of art, but I always wanted to. I always wanted to be an artist, but I didn't doodle as a kid. I didn't have sketchbooks. It wasn't like, oh, I had art as a kid and then I'm now relearning. I never did it. Like I just was always a writer. I always did the storytelling and acting part. So now I really wanted to challenge myself, and I'm completely a beginner, like bare bones. I just have paper and pen, I'm at the very, very beginning of my journey. And so we thought, this class is going to be a lot of fun because it's kind of a way to really start from the very beginning. I mean, I have no technical skill. I have no formal training. I didn't go to school for it. So can I do it? I guess is the question, and kind of the goal of this. And also to give anybody who's watching their own sort of, journey and to follow along and see if they can kind of like learn anything from this as well.
What's really important to take out of this is that with any skill, whether you're going to be an artist, a musician, an athlete, a chef, a writer, whatever it is, whatever skill it is, creative or otherwise, you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever. Repetition and focus on the fundamentals and practicing is what gets you to where you go. And your openness to constructive criticism, right? And a lot of people hear that word criticism and they think the negative. Oh, don't criticize me. Like they get like, oh, like, no, like if you have no idea how much having a healthy attitude toward criticism can rapidly advance your skills and your abilities and your career that way. And so when it's done in the right, when it's coming from the right person, and obviously when you learn to take it and apply it to what you've done, it made a huge difference for me. In fact, when I was younger, I didn't want to take art classes when I was younger because I was so afraid of being criticized. I didn't want people to tell me, oh, your stuff isn't good and whatever, you need to do this. Like I had created this boogeyman out of the art instructors that had I not had that attitude, I would be, my skills would have advanced much more quickly than they did, right? But it took me a long time to get over that and be like, no, like get over yourself. Just do this.
Yeah.
Get excited about, I actually enjoy the feedback part because the more people poke at your stuff and go, look at this, the more attuned you will be to the nuances of your own art, and you'll be able to correct it and you will get better. That's the only way to get better. Imagine a house if you went into someone's living room and their paintings were like, their pictures on the wall were kind of slightly 1 millimeter off,
Oh,
tilted.
that's awful.
Right. But how different it would be if you went and just corrected all those, right? That's the difference. The feeling that you get in a room like that, where those flaws have been identified and corrected, versus like, oh, well, this is good enough. And no, like it's the difference between adequate and like a masterpiece is your dedication to the details. So when we do this course, so this is, just as an introduction of the way we've done this, I have a way that I normally teach to other artists you know, my style of art and design. And there's a couple things that we go over. The first is that it's really important that you become deeply curious. And I talk about this a lot. And what does that mean? That means that you are, instead of getting, we all naturally get like threatened by other artists who were like, oh my God, they're so good. I'll never be as good as them. Blah, blah, blah. Like, right, you just go down this thing of like, poor me. I'm so like, I'll never be as good as them. They're so amazing. Blah, 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 blah. The only thing that separates them from you is that they put in the time and effort to get there, right? They put in the time and effort to get there. And you didn't come out of the womb like holding a pen and drawing.
Right.
Everyone did the stuff that your mom put up on the refrigerator, right? Like the crayons and what. Everyone started from the exact same place. The only difference is the dedication and the commitment to curiosity. So the first thing I want to advise you as you're going into this is to change that attitude. Like, you will never grow if you go with the attitude of, I'm never, you see an artist, you're like, oh, they're so, anytime you catch yourself break that pattern and go, instead of doing that, turn them into your art rival, right? Look at them and go, this artist is so amazing that I'm going to learn, I'm going to understand their magic, and I'm going to turn it into, and I'm going to outdo them someday. Think of your favorite anime protagonists, how they are, right? Like, where they have rivals, and and that's what a healthy rivalry is, right? It's not, you turn, instead of being like self-conscious and jealous and whatever, you turn it into fuel to drive your growth, because you then see that person as a goal to reach, as a place that you can get, you can be there too, right? You can be there too. You can be a hero too, right? And you can get there. And so that's what I hope you take away with that. So I use the analogy of flying over cities, right? Like, this is, I use this a lot. It's like, whenever you see someone's art, most people, when you're like scrolling on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, you'd see a cool piece of art and you're like, oh, like, you know, oh, that's cool. I like this. I like it. Oh, they're so awesome. But did you really stop and go in and really see why you like that image? And this is kind of the key to my method. And we're going to talk about the reverse engineering method. I didn't like invent this method. I mean, like, it's the method I use, right, to do this. And when you're flying, so the reason I use the flying over the city analogy is that when you're flying over a city like Paris is beautiful from the sky, right? It's like, wow, the city of lights. It's so beautiful. Lights everywhere. There's the Arc de Triomphe. There's the Eiffel Tower. Oh my God. Oh, excuse me. It's very beautiful, right? But Paris is very different, and there's much more layers to Paris when you go there and actually walk the streets of Paris. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the people, the whatever. Like, there's so much more that creates the whole atmosphere and aesthetic of Paris that is not visible when you just fly over it, right? And that's the same with artwork. When you're just like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to save it to Pinterest or like it. That's not the same as going into it and visiting like you would a city. And some of the things that we will do along this course is that I will, between the normal instruction classes, I will do sessions with Ella where we will go in and we will look at a piece of art, and I will go in and like be like, why is this cool? And we'll go look at every detail. And that curiosity leads you into what I call the reverse engineering method, right? Where it's like, you take a piece of art, you start tracing over it, right? You're like, why is this? You trace over it, you start doing construction, and I'll show you guys how to do this, because a lot of the homework that Ella will get is reverse engineering. I will go in there and be like, take your favorite characters, favorite piece of art, and then apply what I've told you over them by literally drawing over them and finding their construction and things like that. Or just trace over the image, just trace it. Because tracing it is the equivalent of walking through the city, because you're going through there and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that that's how this person draws a nose. Oh, that's what gives it this appeal, is this little nuance of the nose turning up a certain way, or, oh, there's this detail in the ear, et cetera, et cetera. You have to get intellectually curious. You have to go visit these pieces of art that are your favorite, like they're your own city. So I'm going to train you over the course of this program how to take on that attitude. And at the end of this, and actually very early, not at the end, you need to adopt this pretty early for this to work. You're gonna so you need to adopt this attitude early. But I guarantee you, if you do, you're gonna see your art, your own art skills exponentially grow. So that's what that means. Now that leads into a couple other things before we get into today's stuff. Is finding your style. A lot of people are like, oh, I really need to find my style. You know, like, where's my style? You know, people get all caught up with your style. Don't get obsessed with your style. A lot of people, like, if you try to force that, if you're getting so caught up with, I need to find my style because it identifies me, and just draw. Just draw. And what will happen is, during the process of investigating other people's work in the way that I was just describing, you're going to find stuff. You're going to be like, oh, I like how that person draws ears. So you're going to adopt some of their style. Oh, I like how this person draws hair. I'm going to adopt that. No one's style is unique. And what I mean by that is that it's not inherently unique as that it just came out that way. Everyone's style is a result of the inspirations that they've gotten from elsewhere. Right?
Yeah.
So and what they've done is they've taken those inspirations and they've blended it into their own unique style. That's where the uniqueness comes in. Is when you go in and you take all these influences and then you reinterpret them into your own style. That's the uniqueness. The uniqueness is not going to come out of like, it's not going to just like rarely, I mean, I'm not going to say never, but it's just not going to come out of the ether like, oh, suddenly I have a new style. It just doesn't work that way. Right?
Yeah.
Another thing that's really important is patience. You have to be patient with yourself.
No.
Right? Yes, you have to be you have to be patient. That's one of the hardest things about this is patience, because everyone expects to learn immediately. They're like, "Oh, I just did this class and like why am I not drawing perfectly?" Because what'll happen is you'll follow along with the example and you'll be able to draw the example. Like, I'm drawing it perfectly. Why can't I do it? Well, because I showed you how to do that particular example, right?
Yeah.
Now, your job is to learn to take that discipline and do it from multiple angles, right? That only comes from practice. That only comes from drawing all the time. Keep a notebook with you. Keep your tablet with you and your software. Draw as much as you can. You have to. You have to draw. It's like you're never going to get to be a better guitar player if you don't practice, right? You're never going to be you know, our favorite anime around here, one of our favorite anime is Haikyuu. We talk about Haikyuu a lot because it's a fun show, but it's also very inspirational. And there's a lot of great, like, motivational material that comes out of it. And if you look at the journey of the characters there, they're obsessed with practice. They're obsessed with getting better. And they don't sit and go, oh, you don't see Shoyo going, oh, why am I not better today? No, he takes the feedback and then he exercises and works out and does everything over and over and over. Like, he's just obsessed with it. If you want to become a master at this stuff, you have to adopt that, right? You have to adopt that. And you cannot compare yourself to other people. You have to learn to compare yourself to previous versions of yourself, right? When you see someone who you admire, turn them into your art rival, your imaginary art rival, all right? An art rival is someone where that's a healthy relationship, right? That's a healthy competitive relationship, right? You don't want to be enemies, you become rivals, right? Because rivals admire each other and want to outdo each other. And so if you see an artist that you admire, you look at them and go, I'm going to be better than that person. And I'm going to learn from them and I'm going to get better than them. I'm going to be at least equal or better than them. But don't look at your old art and go, I suck. Everyone's art sucks. Everyone's art sucked from the beginning. Everyone's does. And in fact, it's actually a good sign that you see your art is sucking as you go more, because that means you're noticing things that you didn't notice before. There'll be pieces of art that you're like, oh, I was so proud of this, but like 2 months later, you're like, wow, that sucks. That's a great sign. That means you are noticing things that you didn't notice before, right? Using the
Right.
analogy of the room with all the windows, the paintings that are like a millimeter off, that was your stuff before. But then you're like, oh, you know, like you turn like all the, and your work gets better. So you have to think of it, that way, right? And so these are essential. Do not do this. Do not go on this journey with us if you're not willing to do this. If you're not willing to even like remotely entertain this attitude that I'm telling you, don't even bother. Go click on some cat video, go do whatever. Don't even do this, because it will fail if you don't come in with the right attitude, right? And so patience with yourself, intellectual and curiosity, excitement. Have the using another anime protagonist. Look at Midoriya from My Hero Academia. Bro has like a notebook all the time. Oh my god, this hero that he loves, and he starts writing all the facts about the heroes. He draws them and writes all the facts because he's like, it's fascinating. You're almost like an anthropologist. You know, he's like an anthropologist or something in that way, right? Where he's studying like what makes them cool. Become like an art anthropologist. You know, like get excited, be like, oh, I love this artist. Why are they so amazing? And like you take them apart and find out why. I cannot tell you how much time I spend doing that. There's so many artists that I admire, and I will look at their art and I'm like, I hate you in a healthy way. I hate you because I'm jealous and I want to be like you. And it's like, you are my rival, even though you don't know it. You are my art rival, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to dissect. I'm not hating myself in that situation. I'm not going, oh, you suck. I'm going, no, I know I'm capable of getting there, right? I have to put in the time and effort. And so I'll go in and I will investigate, and I will go and just like take it apart, reverse engineer the whole thing, and be like, oh, that's why. And a lot of times you'll find out it's a lot easier than you thought, right? So that's super important for everyone here, right? I'm like going through this. And what's great about Ella and why she and I work so well together at our studio is that both she and I are very much open to criticism. You know, I'll give her ideas and she's like, I don't know if that's the strongest idea, or I don't know if you should do that, or you might not have considered this, or whatever. You know, she'll give me like rational like criticism for things. I'm like, oh, right, you didn't. And I'll do the same with her. She'll give me an idea or whatever. I'm like, I don't know about that. And but we know that we're coming from a good place when we're doing it because we want the best thing possible. It's not because we're trying to stroke our egos or anything like that. It's because we want the final product to be good. So that's why I'm really excited to do this with her, because I know that she's going to look at it from that perspective, and we're going to have a good time doing this. And so she's already armed with this attitude I'm talking about. She's already like pre-programmed with that. She's already pre-programmed with that. So this is going to be good. So Ella, any questions before I kind of go over like the curriculum of things?
No, I think I'm all set. I'm going to be writing down notes and things. So I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
You know what got me super excited? I saw her already taking notes. Listen, I'll never forget. I told Ella this story where many years ago I was at a job, and when I was very young, and my boss told me, hey, he told me to decide. He says, hey, you need to start bringing a notebook with you and start taking notes. Because I'd go to the meeting and I'd listen and go whatever. And I didn't realize the importance of note taking with it. And it radically changed my life with note taking. And that was one of the best advice I'd ever given in my whole career, believe it or not. And so I've become obsessed with note taking. Like I took that criticism, that advice that I was given, and if you see the pile of, I have stacked to the sky. I have notebooks since then. I become very hyper obsessed whenever I find like a cool new life lesson, right? Like I become like super obsessed with it. The fact that she was already doing that is a great sign, because she's taking it seriously, and there's things that I'm going to deliver. I'm going to give you tips and techniques and stuff that if you write these things down, they become part of your programming as an artist, and they will affect the outcome of your work. So, for example, there are something that you'll learn about later is like the 90-degree rule, where it's like how the shoulder connects, how you find the location of an elbow on a character, right? I do all these tests all the time as I'm drawing. This constant checking, and as I'm drawing, I'm making all these adjustments based on the tests I do. So she's going to start learning and writing these techniques down, because that's going to help her in her own journey, because then she's going to adopt that programming, right? So note taking is important. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to sit here and read the captions. Or get a notebook. Get a notebook. Get a notebook and write it. Like I don't have this particular notebook in front of me right now. I don't know where it is, but I have this notebook, for example, that whenever I see cool manga layouts, like of panel layouts, I draw the layout. And I have this collection of layouts that I've seen that are like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool design. And I will draw it and I note it. And it helps me see patterns. And it helps me learn to be more expressive in the types of manga panels I use in my own work. So get obsessed with that. Get your notebook, whether you draw it on a tablet, whatever's your preferred method. I like paper when I take notes, these kind of notes. That's just me personally. So do that. All right. So
I think this is a good time to talk about the second part of our art journey, which is we're going to be producing and putting these videos up on YouTube for free. So if you just want to join us here your first time, that's totally fine. And you can join us here and just watch and take notes on your own and take the skills that we talk about and apply them to your own stuff. But if you want to go a little bit deeper with us and you want to kind of see parts of the behind the scenes and other things, we're offering one of the tiers on our Patreon is sort of dedicated to this art series, where we're going to have a skill tree, which you can follow, and it's going to have all of my notes in it. So if you're like, I'll let Ella take my notes for me, I got you. I'll take your notes. I'll take the notes down.
Shame on you, by the way. You should take notes.
But if you really want, if you want to compare notes, that's a better way to put it. If you want to compare notes.
Compare notes. Okay, that's okay.
I'll have my notes there.
I'll accept that.
I'll also have all of the references that RC is going to give me, all of the homework that RC gives me, and then also you can see my progress. I'm going to be posting way more of my own art and the things that I'm practicing, and anything that we practice kind of off camera is also going to be on there. Not only that, but we have a special live that we're going to do once a month with all of the people who join me on my art journey, and you can submit work and get your own feedback from RC once a month during our during these events. There's a lot of other benefits to joining that tier, but I won't spoil all of them. You'll have to kind of just go in and see for yourself. Of course, like I said earlier, we're going to be putting these up on YouTube anyway, so if you just like these videos and you think that's all you want to start with, that's totally fine. We're really appreciative that you're joining us. And also, if you like us and you think that we're funny or cute, I don't know, you can check out our manga.
I think I'm funny and cute. I think I'm funny.
Yeah, we think we're funny. Maybe we need to be taken down a peg. I don't know. But if you like us and you enjoy the art that we are producing, we're also a manga studio. And so I hope that you check out our work, FLUX Destiny. One day, it's a goal of mine one day to draw an alternate cover or something for FLUX Destiny. So if you're watching this in the future and I've already done that, this is where it started. And I'm calling it now that it's going to happen.
You're calling it now? All right. She's calling it now. I'm telling you, and I've already seen where she's going with it. And I think that's going to happen. And I'm going to be able to go, you did it. And I'm going to be able to, I'll be able to take my pen and I'll put it up and go, I'm done drawing. Now you take over.
Oh, no.
I'm done drawing now. I'm done drawing.
One cover, one.
Also, a cool thing is that if you join our Patreon or get any of our products that we have, or come to any of our big events, you get access to our Discord server. We have this really awesome community of fellow FLUX Destiny fans, creators, writers, artists, role players, musicians. It's a really cool community that we've worked very hard to make sure is like a fun, safe place that you can share your art, tell stories, have adventures, follow the story and universe of FLUX Destiny, make new friends. It's all there. And we invite you to come onto our Discord server. You'll definitely make friends and you'll find a place to express yourself creatively. So
yeah.
Okay, so now I want to talk to you about, I'm going to kind of lay out the general structure of this journey that we're going to be going on, and it's the structure that I use with all artists that I train and go through.
And this is on the skill tree as well when you go to look at it.
And we will take little side quests in between all this. So there's this, and then we're going to have these side quests that happen in between. But this is kind of the general structure of the whole program. So the first thing is it's broken up into the way I look at my art philosophy with things is I look at it through 4 lenses, right? Which is, and I'm talking specifically about characters. I'm not talking about like backgrounds. We're just covering character stuff here. Proportions, dimension, structure, and lighting, right? And so those are the 4 like lenses that we look at everything through. And so that's kind of how this whole journey is divided. So the first thing that we're going to learn about is proportion. And you'd be like, well, why don't you learn structure first or whatever? My personal philosophy is that proportion is so important, and you'll find out why as we go through it, why it's the most important thing to learn as one of the first things. Because if your proportions are off, it's much more difficult to fix than a structural problem, right? If you have like an arm that's not drawn right or whatever, that's one thing. But if your proportions are all off, and if you've gotten way deep into a drawing, it's like moving continents. Like it's a lot of like,
yeah.
You know, there was an older piece that I had to fix recently. Ella knows which one it is. That the proportions weren't off. I looked at it, I go, oh, Hugo's head is really big on this one. I was like, I don't know why I didn't see it when I drew it. It should be like 20% smaller, and like 20% is a lot, right? Like I was like, it looks too big. And so because everything had already been drawn, colored, everything, that's very difficult to fix, right? Because I have to go and like surgically move and shrink everything and move things around, you know, so it's a lot of work. So understanding proportion and getting that first before you get into your other elements is super important. Then dimension. You know, one of the things that we run into all the time when I'm working with art, and by the way, I am not throwing stones at glass houses or whatever the phrase is. I have gone through all this too. I'm not coming from this perspective of like, oh, I've always drawn perfectly. No, I haven't. And I'm still learning and I'm still growing. In fact, a lot of times doing these instructions helps me as an artist and as a professional get better, because I keep practicing the fundamentals as we go through it. But a problem that myself and other artists go through is dimension. They think too much in 2D when they're drawing, and you realize that you have, even though you're drawing on a 2D surface, you have to think in 3 dimensions, because otherwise your art looks flat, right? And it's funny because I'll go through this process, and there's certain this happens all the time where I'll teach how to draw the head, for example, and the student will learn how to draw the head, and the head will look like, they'll show me their art, their head looks really dimensional, and then the torso is like completely flat because they hadn't gotten to that part yet, right? But you can see the difference. You can see the impact that dimension has on the art itself. So learning about dimension is another thing, because that dimension then leads into structure, which is the third item on here. The structure itself is insanely important for a number of reasons. I use the analogy of building a house, right? Everyone gets so excited, and all of it, myself included, whenever I would draw, you know, as a kid and as a teenager, you get excited about, oh, wanting to draw the cool hair or the cool outfits and the cool powers. Bro, that's like the icing on the cake. Like, that's the icing, right? You don't worry about the icing when you're baking a cake until you've made the cake, right? You have to actually make the cake first. And if your cake is all like wobbly and whatever, it's going to look janky, right? You don't want a janky cake. It's the same with a house. You don't get excited about, oh, I can't wait to put the shutters up and put the you know, shingles and all the paint and what. You don't worry about that until you have like the structure of the house built. Have you ever seen a house built that way? If you have, no. Stay far away from it, because it will collapse. You don't want that.
Yeah.
you don't want that. Like, you need to know that the structure is solid. And I'll tell you what, 99% of the time when you see art that you really admire, um and I'm not just talking from an aesthetic standpoint. I mean, like, why does that character look so good? It's because their structure is really good. That they've hit all these things. Their proportion, their dimension, and their structuring is really good and solid, and you can feel the character standing there, right? And they don't
Mm-hmm.
look like they're kind of like wobbling. You know, a lot of people, one thing that a lot of people do is that they will take a character and instead of learning how to structure them anatomically correctly, what they'll do is they will draw. I did the same. You'll draw the baggiest clothes, you'll do whatever to hide the anatomy, right? So that you don't have to learn how to draw them, right? You can draw kind of like behind this cloud of like puffy clothes, you hide your lack of knowledge in anatomy. And that will only get you so far. You'll never grow. You have to go, I have to learn how to draw human beings. And if you can learn to draw human beings, which are the most difficult, it is way easier to draw animals than it is to draw people.
Mm.
Drawing human beings is very difficult. We are very uniquely built as creatures. We have very unique, and because we don't have fur, you can see everything, right? You can see all the, you know, like, angles and curves and whatever that you can't normally see on an animal. Like, look at drawing a cat, for example. A cat, they joke that a cat is like, can take all sorts of shapes. You know, underneath the exterior of the cat is like a very distinct skeletal structure, but they can take the form of anything, right? They look like gumdrops sometimes. Like, you can take a cat and they'll change shapes. They don't have, I believe they don't have collarbones, I think. And so like they're slim. They can take all sorts of forms. Humans are very built a certain way, and we look at humans all the time. In your day-to-day life, you're looking at your fellow classmates, you're looking at your friends, your parents, your boss, whoever. You're looking at people all the time. You're watching videos. So you inherently know what humans are supposed to look like, right? And so when you see someone who is starting to draw human beings, but there's like things just a little off, or they're not learning it, it's because you're subconsciously programmed to know what a human looks like. So this is where that intellectual curiosity that I talked about earlier comes in, is that you have to sit and go, I need to know every curve, every angle, every muscle. And when you know that, your art will get better and better and more convincing. And I'm still learning, right? Like, I have all these Pinterest boards that I save, like all this reference, muscles. I have it divided by all the parts of the body, you know, like head, limbs, you know, eyes and teeth, you know, and we'll provide a link to, you can go see my reference thing that I keep. But I'm constantly saving references to learn from. The muscle one is starting to grow. Like, my muscle category is growing because that's an area that I really, really want to understand. Because when you learn to do the muscles and how they interconnect, your work will just rocket up, you know, from there. So, so that's that. And then finally, the last stage of this, which is really doesn't matter until you've gotten everything else, is the lighting. And lighting is really shading and basic shading and lighting of your art. That doesn't matter until you've gotten the other three. Like, you don't worry about that. You don't worry about color, whatever, until you've like learned to like draw. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that you don't study that, or you don't color your art. That doesn't mean that. What I mean is, like, in your journey here, the lighting isn't, in my opinion, is not important until you've like really gotten those other things mastered. And it doesn't mean that you can't be mastering it alongside those, but you need to focus first on creating a solid person from there. And then, so we'll go through each one of those things. I'm not going to go through every item, but once we go through each one of those, is like, I like to take a character and build them from the top down. It's like we learn to build the head, right? And we will focus on what it takes to build a head using those disciplines that I was talking about earlier, you know, proportion, dimension, structure. We will take that and we will build a head. And then once we
Mhm.
master the head, then we will go into the torso and we'll build a torso. We'll learn about the pieces of the torso. Then we'll go into the pelvis and legs. And then we will put it all together. Right? So you have to master the fundamentals of each piece and then put the character together. So that's where your patience has to come in. You have to get excited about going, bringing this all the way back to the beginning of this video when I told you about getting super excited and intellectually curious about things. Get excited that we're going to be exploring everything. And at the end, you're going to
Mhm.
see how it all comes together. It's all connected, right? Like you're going to see the connection coming together.
No.
It's all connected. um, you'll see when you see how it all works together. It's a beautiful thing because when you make a change in one area, or you everything pulls on the other parts, right? Like if your arm is stretching, it's going to have an impact on the muscles that stretch throughout your chest, and it'll look different.
Mhm.
So it's really exciting. So get ready for an
I'm
in-depth.
excited.
I'm going to take you on this journey. We're going to go and we're going to go deep into this stuff. We're going to learn every little piece. At the end, we're going to put it all together, and then we will fly over it, and we will go, "Wow, look what we accomplished in this thing." Um, Last thing I'll say to close this out is that there is no one, very few artists are capable of drawing something with complete perfection right at the start. No one, very few artists are so skilled that they draw something and it's just, wow, oh my God, it's beautiful, go with it. Most of the time, you have to really work at it and adjust and whatever before you get to the final piece. I want to give you
Mhm.
this advice to be okay with that and not get caught up with why is this not coming out exactly out of my head onto the paper. That exploration comes as a natural part of doing the art. When you see me doing my stuff, it's funny. Ella, for a long time, used to be like, "Why don't you show your sketching?" Right? Like, I
Mhm.
love your art. Why don't you do sketching? And I used to be very self conscious about the sketching because it's like that's where I was like really messy. Like it's just like if you saw that versus where it ends up, my personal self criticism of myself was like, but it's not beautiful. It's not like art book worthy. Baloney. Like that doesn't matter, right? And I got better,
Mhm.
even better as I let go of that. Your end product at the end of the day, what's going to matter, and just hash it out. Like go in there and start carving up and drawing and doing whatever. Um, and the final note, the actual final note, is about like the actual tools you use during this. You don't need anything fancy or expensive. It's great if you go get. There's some great tablets. Ella just got herself a tablet that are really cost effective. You do not need to go and buy the most expensive, Wacom tablet or whatever. Like you don't need to do that. There's some great things that you can get for a couple $100 on Amazon that you can start with, and you can give yourself goals. You can say, "I'm going to get a little tablet. I'm going to learn, and as I get better, once I reach this goal, I will buy myself a bigger one." Right? You can do that
Mhm.
and set yourself rewards. But my advice to you is if you're going to go digital, get a tablet that you can actually see what you're drawing. I don't particularly like the tablets where you have to like look at the screen and draw like this. That's like there's people who are really good at that, but I think you need to be able to look at your art and draw on it. So if you're going
Mhm.
to go the digital route, there's all sorts of, Ella, what did you end up getting? What brand was it?
So, I'll link it in the description as well. But I ended up getting a Huion, which I've always really liked their products. Sometimes they could be a little bit buggy. Full transparency, there sometimes they could be a little they disconnect and stuff to your computer. But I actually found that I've always been really lucky. I got just a canvas like 13-inch. And it's one of the ones I used to have a tablet that you would have to look up at the screen, and I felt like I had gotten pretty good at it, but then I wanted to move to this. And it's one that you can see on, and I'm also going to be using paper and pencil too. I got a whole set of these notebooks for kind of more during class, and then for practice, I'm going to be using more like the digital one. So I've kind of got both that I'm going to be using. But this one was really, really inexpensive. I think it ended up being like 150. And that's pretty good and it's pretty big. I mean, like I think it's pretty big. So this is what I'm going to start with. I'm going to put goals on my, and all of this stuff too, by the way, I'm going to link in the skill tree, all of the things that I'm using, all the pencils, all the pieces of paper, all the programs that we use, all of that's going to be linked um, in our skill tree. There's going to be a whole tools section so that you could go through even brushes that we like, things like that, that we find useful and helpful. We're going to be putting all of that in the skill tree. But yeah, I'm going to be using both. So yeah, that's the stuff I'm starting off with. So not a Cintiq or anything like that. One day I'll get there. I actually think that I'm gonna have a point system on the skill tree, and maybe one of the end goals will be like a really nice
Yeah,
tablet.
that's good. That's a good way to do it, because otherwise, I say that because there are lots of advantages to drawing digital, because then you can go in and use layers and all sorts of stuff, and that's great. You should do that. You should also draw traditionally, right? And if you draw traditionally, one thing that I advise is draw with pens,
Mm-hmm.
because we get used to the eraser and we're always trying to erase
Mm-hmm.
and make things perfect. Most of my
Yeah.
notebooks are drawn in pen, because I don't get all caught up with like the perfection of the art in there. It's just me like exploring character designs or whatever, and I don't get caught up with the crutch of the eraser, right?
Yeah.
Which can be a big crutch and causes all sorts of like, you'll start having holes in your paper. Just go draw.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Just have fun with this. That's where you talk about being like in a flow state. It comes from not trying to be perfect. It goes with really being present in what you're doing and
Mm.
enjoying the process. The best work I do is when I kind of forget the world and I'm just like just just enjoying it and not getting caught up with perfection on it, right? Perfection will come. Well, you can never reach perfection. It's kind of like reaching the speed of light. Like you cannot reach
Mm.
the speed of light, right? Like that's impossible. We cannot travel at the speed of light, but you can get very close, and that's the same thing with perfection. You will never be perfect, but you will always, there's just no such thing, but you will always get better and better and reach that, levels of mastery that will appear like perfection to other people.
Mm.
So I'm really excited to do this journey with you. Ella, is going to be
Me
a lot of
too.
fun to do this with you. This is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see the result as we go along. Do not throw away your old art. What's great about keeping your old art, remember what I said earlier about comparing yourself to earlier versions of yourself? It's going to be key to do that, because when you look back 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, a year from now, you're going to be looking at this, and if you're taking this course seriously and you go back and look at your old art, you're going to go, wow. And sometimes you'll learn like techniques or rules or stuff that will literally change your style overnight. One little thing,
Mm.
you'll go, wow, that changes the whole game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you may see your art, and there'll be sometimes your art's doing this, and sometimes it'll go like this, right? Because you've learned something. But it's not this. There is no this where it's just this steady climb. It's more like
Yeah.
that's more what it's like. So, all right. Well, we're getting ready to start this journey together. Thanks for listening to my intro speech, and I'm really excited to see what we do together.